For my service project, I wanted to raise awareness of autism and its symptoms. My ultimate goal was to inform parents of the early signs of autism so they can recognize the disease so it can be diagnosed quickly so intervention therapies can be effective as possible. The secondary part of my project was to learn more about autism myself, not just through research on a computer, but seeing it and interacting firsthand with a child who has autism. It goes along the lines of not just writing a check. I wanted to be more involved with what I was helping to make the contribution more meaningful. I had also planned on being around autistic children at my school and hoped to tutor some during classes. Just setting it up, though, was a pain. I called Mrs. Humphrey, who's an intervention specialist, twice, and left her 2 notes until she finally got back to me. To tell you guys more about autism, here are some surprising facts. It says here that 1 in 150 kids are diagnosed with autism. It also says autism is more common than pediatric cancer, diabetes, and AIDS combined. There is no known cause or cure for the disease. What autism does exactly is impairs a person's ability to communicate and relate to others. It is also associated with rigid routines and repetitive behaviors such as obsessively arranging objects or following specific routines. There is no single treatment protocol for all children with autism, but most individuals respond best to highly structured behavioral programs. Some important red flags for autism in early childhood are no big smiles or other joyful expressions, no back and forth gestures such as pointing, showing, reaching, or waving, no 2-word meaningful phrases without imitating or repeating, lack of eye contact and affection, and inappropriate reactions to loud noises or laughing inappropriately. So now that we've got the cold hard facts out of the way, I decided to start off my project by talking to an intervention specialist at my school to see if there were any autistic kids I could tutor. Unfortunately, Mrs. Humphreys, who mainly works with kids who have disabilities in math, had no autistic students at the time. Honestly, I was a little disappointed that I couldn't tutor kids with autism, since it was a central focus of my project and all. But I thought more about working with math-disabled kids and worked with them in order to find a connection. Both disabilities stem from a developmental problem and hold the children back from success in life. Here is an example of the kind of math these high school students can work with. These are sophomores and freshmen who can only understand math on a 4th grade level. I wanted to show you how far behind these kids are and how much help they really do need. It makes you feel grateful for your own intelligence. The second part of my project involves signing up for Friendship Circle, which is a program that partners teenagers with families who have kids with autism. The first event I went to was at COSI. So when I got to COSI, I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know anyone except Allison and David. These are some of the kids there. Next slide. These are some of the kids there putting on their wristbands for the museum. This picture is here because I had to sneak the picture and look like a total creep doing it because I didn't know anyone, and I didn't know what these strangers would think or if they'd be comfortable with it. This candid photo shows my nervousness around people I don't know, which was an obstacle in my project. This is Ryan McVicker. His 12th birthday is this Saturday. His favorite color is red and his favorite sports team is the Buckeyes. He really likes hockey, and when I hung out with him for a couple weeks ago, we played air hockey for half an hour. He beat me pretty bad. He also enjoys basketball and plays on a Special Olympics team. We also played Wii bowling, and he beat me every time we played with one exception. It really breaks my heart that there are children who are so full of personality and could have such potential to be something great and successful in the future. But those children struggle with social tasks that come so easy to us, and they are held back by their own minds. When we were at COSI, Ryan wanted to ride that high-wire unicycle. I would never be able to ride that thing, but he was so brave, the height didn't faze him at all. When I first met Ryan, honestly, I didn't know how to act around him because of his autism, but after he rode that unicycle, I realized he really is just a normal kid. For the final part of my project, I wanted to put an awareness story in the Roundsburg This Week newspaper. This is where my goal to inform parents was supposed to kick in, but for some reason, the interview hasn't happened yet, despite the setups and exchanging of emails for the past few weeks. I called the newspaper and got the number of a guy named David Owen. We've exchanged emails and phone calls. Eventually, we settled on an interview in person 2 weeks ago. Then he said time was tight and an issue, so we'd do the interview over the phone. That was last week. Am I frustrated the interview hasn't happened yet? Yeah, I am. But when David said Thursday or Friday, he might have meant this upcoming Thursday or Friday instead of last week. So if it gets to be Saturday and no call, I am definitely going to contact him again. I think this whole project has changed my idea of what it takes to live a life of meaning. I think the people who live their lives to help others understand best that everything is connected. And when the change they worked so hard for finally comes back to them, they know their contribution has gone around the world to make change for better, much like karma. In this project, I learned everyone is different. I did not learn this just from my own service project, but everyone else's as well. Either Latino, poor, autistic, homosexual, or homeless, we all live on the same planet together. So we might as well learn how to get along, because hate and violence doesn't help make anything better. Except from hate and violence comes people with drive to make a difference. In conclusion, I hope that when my newspaper article comes out, at least one parent reads it and will recognize the symptoms of autism in their child in time to have therapies be effective to the fullest. I hope I can help make it easier for those families to be together, and I hope I can contribute to their happiness and affection.